You're listening to Moviesucktastic.
Sounds like some bad movie.
Hey, bud. What's going on?
Hello.
This is Birdman.
Birdman. This place smells like balls.
It smells like balls. How did we end up here? So good.
Welcome to Moviesucktastic episode 163.
Four.
And we're on week 3 of our Oscar catch-up, and we're reviewing 2 films this week. This is the second of the 2, Whiplash and Birdman.
That's right.
Both up for Best Picture.
Next week will be the final 2. We'll have done all 8 nominees, and that will be Selma and The Imitation Game. But right now is Birdman.
Now, Birdman is up for Best Motion Picture. It's up for Best Actor.
9 nominations. It's the most of any film.
Right. It was not accepted for Best Score because it only has drums. I don't get that. But that's the Academy for you. Two things the Academy hates: black people and drums.
Apparently.
Yeah.
But they like movies about drums. So there's that.
Right. Well, that's, you can portray them, you just can't have them in your film.
That's right.
And I'm rooting for this film for original screenplay, even though it's up against Nightcrawler, another of my personal favorites.
Yeah, but we know that Nightcrawler doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell, so...
Well, best screenplay, that's a good place to sneak in an underdog. They gave Quentin Tarantino best screenplay. For Pulp Fiction. Yeah, didn't they?
Yeah.
Didn't he win best screenplay for that?
He did. And years later, you look back and you realize, fuck, what a mistake not giving that movie Best Picture.
Well, that was the point too. I mean, it's categories like that where you can truly acknowledge the genius and say, okay, you know what, we'll give Titanic a lot of shit too. It's a give and take. Now, speaking of CGI, this falls into the complexity of the screenplay, which is why I do feel I'm rooting for this one more than Nightcrawler, which I loved. The film, which is about artistry and the stage, and putting on a stage
artistry?
play. Artistry. I said
artistry. Yeah.
Artistry. Yes. Shut up.
Yes. Respect the artistry.
Yes. But at the same time, the film about that is filled with CGI sequences.
Oh, you mean Birdman?
Yeah, Birdman. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
Film we're doing, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to say
started off
filled.
saying that.
I think filled is strong word.
There's a lot of CGI. There are big scenes with CGI. Yes.
There are big scenes, but it's sporadic.
It's sporadic doesn't mean there's not a lot of it. It just means it's not all at one shot. Now, the plot of the film, for anybody who hasn't seen it, which is a mistake, is that Michael Keaton is playing a character that loosely shadows himself as far as having been a former action star of a series of comic book based movies called Birdman, a la Batman, and
right.
His career took a downturn after he left that series, and now he's trying to make a comeback and be recognized as a serious actor by producing, writing, and starring in his own stage play adaptation of a Raymond Carver short story. what we talk about when we talk about love. And there's an aspect of that I want to get into later, because I have a film critic I want to tell to go fuck himself.
Is it Stephen Whitty?
Slightly. No, it's not.
He seems like he would probably like this film.
Yeah. Well, it had a lot of popularity to it, so I'm sure he gave it at least 2.5 stars.
I would venture to say we should find his review for it just to see what he gave it star wise. But I would venture to say this is a 3.5, possibly even a 4-star from Stephen Whitty.
I'll look it up while we're talking.
Okay.
Oh Jesus! And of course, the first thing that comes up when I type Stephen is Stephen Hawking. Thank you.
Yeah, you haven't done a search for him lately.
No, I have not.
And Stephen Hawking will not be chiming in this episode.
But anyway,
it was kind of fun the first time.
Which is sad, because that would be the perfect time for it since that happened. But what I'm getting at is that's one of the there's a lot of contradictory action behavior in the film. And about the duality of life and the contradictory nature of people in general. And so a lot of this is an action star from Hollywood that's trying to remake himself as a stage play or playwright and a stage director and an actor. Right. And so there's these fantasy sequences where he's having this mental breakdown, and he's being talked to and being invaded by this Birdman character, and he's having these hallucinations of having superpowers. So in a sense, we have somebody who's performing, who's putting on, who's creating this bare bones, like realistic drama. Raymond Carver was a very down to earth realism author, portraying common people, middle lower class, and while he's doing this, he's having these CGI fantasies where he has superpowers and he's flying and shit, and so there's a strong duality there between him trying to achieve greatness through normality or through low key, toned down, and these two worlds colliding. I mean, that's just one of several examples in the film.
Yeah, and the thing with Michael Keaton's character is it's like you said before, it's kind of mimicking his own career.
3.5 stars. You're right.
It just sometimes you could just tell what a Stephen Whitty review looks like.
You can always guess within a 0.5 star what Stephen Whitty's going to do. Pretty much. Yeah. So I mean, there's a lot in this film. The direction is inspiring. It's all the film up to a point is all one continuous take. Yeah. So it's really one long shot. And
Stephen Hawking was going to chime in on that, but he's not anymore.
Yeah. Steven's going to let the batteries recharge.
Yeah. But yeah, no, you're right. The way it works too, it's so beautiful, because you'll be walking down, you'll get like the person's back. They'll be walking into a scene, then they'll walk off into a different direction. The camera will keep going into the scene, and then the person that was in, you saw their back. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. They'll walk back into the scene, and then the camera will follow a different direction. And then just every single shot is people walking in one way to another way, in a room, out of a room, and it all just flows. It's got this feng shui thing happening. It's just flawless.
And it's not the first time it's happened. People have done stuff like that too. You've got the Touch of Evil, obviously. Oh, yeah. Scorsese with Goodfellas, I think it was. And even the
well, the thing is too,
one film about film, the big cut, god damn it. Anyway,
the final cut.
No, not it.
Anyway, but when we do our Oscar show, I'm sure they're going to mention about how it was a continuous shot several times during the evening.
Well, they have to, yeah, and also now that plays into the whole idea of it being the big picture. That's the film I was trying to think of, because they're playing on that whole concept anyway. The opening is kind of like because it's an insider Hollywood thing, and this film's kind of an insider Hollywood thing too, which I usually don't like, but I do in this case.
Yeah.
But it's reminiscent of Hitchcock's Rope, and that's part of the purpose to this too, is that it's a film about a stage play, And stage plays, there's no takes. Obviously, it's live on the stage. So what the director's kind of doing is giving you all the world is a stage. This is the stage that these performers are walking on, and they even use that quote from Shakespeare at some point in the film. Life is, all the world is a stage. Fools, blah blah blah.
Oh, that's right. They do use that.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of overlapping of ideas in the film, and a lot of great performances, and they throw into CGI to keep you guessing. And you mentioned too, you mentioned before the show that we can't really talk about it because we don't want to give away anything. Is
Right.
the ending of the film.
And that's with Whiplash and with this, the two endings you don't want to give away because they're that good.
Right. But I and once again, I don't think you said there's a controversy about the film, or at least debate about what the ending means.
Right.
But that's
Not controversy, but a lot of people have different opinions.
Right. But that's good, because that's what the artist does. At a certain point, you say, okay, I'm doing this purposely. Again, not like Lost in Translation, where you just say, hey, I wrote shit, but you're not going to hear it. You didn't write shit. In this case, you're setting up something to, and in case of both films, which is another similarity between these two films, I didn't notice until you mentioned it. But both these films, it's not like we say, okay, and you decide what happened. The theme of the film, and both films, and the storyline and the characterization and everything that's leading up to this point, purposely gets you to that level, and then the film does something to fold the theme back on itself and say, okay, now you have to decide where the reality is.
Right.
Now, with Whiplash, it was more like where the morality is. You have to decide where the moral judgment or philosophy is. With Birdman, since we have a character who's breaking down, whose sense of reality is breaking down, and we see that in the film, we see the film portrayed as what he sees. The end, you kind of have to decide what's reality, what's fantasy, and which is more important.
Right. Yeah. You can go by what happens, in that scene. You can go by, how the credits roll. Because you hear, when the credits roll, you hear background noise. You could, there's little things in that if you really pay attention to, you might hear things. It's all kinds of things. The ending is open-ended, but not so much. You kind of know what happens, I think, personally. But
great art is open to interpretation, and it does so purposely.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Raymond Carver, a lot of Raymond Carver short stories, he's considered one of the great contemporary if not the great contemporary short fiction writer, and a lot of his short stories were written in that kind of manner where there is no definite ending. What you're doing is setting up a scene or a moment and exploring the characters and themes and motivations, and then just like life, it all doesn't end at the end of that story. There's more happening afterwards, and you have to decide how you feel about it.
Right.
You have to interpret it. But we don't have to do that these days because we have fucking critics. And I love the scene where Michael Keaton and the critic clash. Great
awesome.
scene.
Awesome. I mean, when he pulls out the flower and he just puts it in her face, because you don't know what this is.
Well, it's a very tense scene.
It is. It's great.
And what I love about it, it's a complete clash of idealism between the two of them. And I honestly don't want to spoil parts of it, so I'm just going to leave it very vague. Yeah. But there is a very from the critic, there is a very spiteful, mean-spirited. There's a great word for it. I can't think of it, but it's like a venomous almost attitude towards Keaton and what she feels he represents. And then when he responds to his view of what her job or she represents, he gets close to her to a point where it's almost like you're violating space. It's
and you're on his side.
Yeah, well, you are, but at the same time, he acts in such a manner where, like, if you saw this happening at a bar, most people would be like, all right, guy, hey, lady, is this guy bothering you? He's like, you honestly like are on the. You don't know how far he's going to go. With
Right.
it's physically imposing, even threatening to her, and there's there's a lot of dialogue in the scene, a lot of intelligent dialogue that explains things, and it's very good. But it's also filmed with that frenetic, like, kind of. It really just feels like a fight sequence. It's probably
Right.
the closest this film gets to a fight sequence,
I love
a real fight sequence.
I love how both or Ed Norton's character describes her when she first is in the scene.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
No,
I don't even want to ruin that because it's just a beautiful line.
Yeah. Now, this is the kind of film where you can really just take sections of it, and you can deconstruct it, and you can theorize about it for no end in time. That is the true. For me, I've always considered that's what true art is where you can debate what the intention was forever on a lot of the stuff in these films.
Oh yeah, a movie like this will make its way through film classes all through the country for years to come. You know, it's going to be, not that I'm saying it's going to be the Taxi Driver, the Citizen Kane, but it's going to be it's going to be in that class at least for a while. You know, it's like, this is a movie you need to watch. We're going to talk about it. We're going to break it down. Your interpretations, things like that. This is that kind of a film. You know, it's art house, but it's not. If that makes any sense. I mean, it falls into both categories. You know, with the CGI and all that stuff, you can see that they put some money into it, but for the most part, it's an independent film. It's art house. It's beautifully directed, wonderfully written. What?
You know what art house means?
I know but in my head, I know what the definition is for
art
for
house.
films.
Art house is shit that my neighbor's not going to watch. That's all art house is.
That is true. They're not going to watch this.
Yeah, I'm saying, art house just means not mainstream. I mean, you can call it underground, you can call it independent
call it whatever you
film,
want, sure.
You can call it art house, you can call it new wave, call it whatever the fuck you want. Break it down into segments. I'm not saying you fuck, yeah, but it's just not mainstream, and we just can't come up with a single word that explains not mainstream. We have to keep whatever currently trending. But that's all this film. This is not a film that someone that doesn't have imagination or intellect or a soul is going to walk out of and say, hey, I got a lot out of that. They're going to come out and say, I don't get it. How come they didn't explain the ending?
How come there wasn't more Birdman stuff?
I don't understand this.
That one scene where it was doing all the Birdman stuff was cool. How come there wasn't more of that?
And I feel bad saying this now because it's going to sound like I'm insulting my parents, because I'm not. Because I just portray people that don't like the film as being stupid, but that's not what I'm trying to say. But this is one of those films, I guarantee you, this is just like No Country for Old Men. This is the kind of film my parents watch, and at the end the credits start rolling, and my mother turns to me and goes, "That's how it ends." This is one of those films. I can see her calling me. What the hell was that? That's not how you end a film. I know, Mom. I know.
Yeah, I got it. Oh,
again,
man.
not implying that my mother's stupid.
No,
that
my
was
parents.
Not my intention.
My parents, the same way. Same way.
But it's a mainstream. It's a mainstream view. Some people just want to go to a film and like watch a story for 2 hours.
Well,
some people want a bit more.
Whenever I talk to anyone about this movie and they haven't seen it yet, the first sentence out of my mouth is, it's not an action movie, right? That is my first sentence, because there are a lot of people that I've talked with that from the trailer, they kind of get that it's going to be this action comedy. And it's like, no, well, I mean, there's funny parts, but it's a drama. It's dramatic, it's well written, there's a lot of dialogue. Expect that going in. If you don't like that, then don't see it. It's not an action movie, right? Yeah, I must have said that like 10 times. Hey, you see that movie Birdman? Yeah, I don't want to go see it. That's not an action movie, right?
And I think that's kind of it's but again, I respect films that don't try to please everybody. Which doesn't mean you're not trying to make a good film. I say that, but then Magnolia can still go fuck itself.
Oh, would you
but
stop?
I think Magnolia was trying to please everybody. I think that's the problem. It was great to see Zach Galifianakis in a role where he wasn't being Zach Galifianakis. Always good.
That's true.
I mean, you break your hands trying to count out the great performances in this film. It's just everybody that was nominated deserves it, and the people that didn't get nominated really deserve it. I find
Zach
it weird.
Galifianakis was where they were at the Golden Globes, and I don't know if you watched those. If you watch the Golden Globes at all,
No.
but for like the last 2-3 years, what they do now when they open the show is they go to an actor, and they tell like a paragraph's worth of bio, and it's like, and I'm Zach Galifianakis, and I'm an actor. He didn't have his beard. He shaved his beard, and it was fucking weird. Because when he started talking, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And then at the end, he's like, and I'm Zach Galifianakis, and he was like, and I'm an actor? Like, question mark? And I'm like, holy shit. Then you could see it was him. Like, once he said his name, it's like, fuck, he doesn't have his beard. He's not a bad-looking guy without the beard, but he's known for having it. Well, it's weird to see him without it.
Well, and you could even take that as an extension of the whole Birdman thing. Is okay, I'm famous for being this guy in a suit. I take off the suit, but I still want to be an actor. Am I still recognizable? Is it me that is? It's complicated. It's a complicated thing, and it really erodes what identity you might have. I mean, what the biggest thing, the struggle with Michael Keaton's character. Now, here's the funny thing: in the trivia in IMDb, at one point I found something that said that in an interview, and I don't have this verified because it's IMDb trivia, which means it could be fucking made up. Yep. But in an interview, he said that the character he plays in the film is one of the most opposite characters to himself he's ever played.
This is Zach Galifianakis?
No, Michael Keaton.
Oh, Michael Keaton?
Yeah, I mentioned Michael Keaton before I started saying that.
I'm sorry.
So he said this role is the most opposite character from me that I've ever played in a film. Now, I understand why he's saying that. As somebody who has a lot of similarities between the character, you want to distance yourself. Say, listen, this isn't about me. Yeah, I was Batman, blah, that's kind of cute and all. This isn't about me.
So he was closer to Pacific Heights guy? It's like, yeah, I'll fucking throw roaches in your house. Clog up all your fucking ducks.
Forget that. I'm like, dude, Desperate Measures, you were a serial killer.
Yeah. But he's smart enough to save that guy's daughter's life.
Yeah, but please tell me that you're closer to Birdman than you are the Desperate Measures, like serial killing redneck. Please, come on, really? we can all like Google this shit now and look up your film history. Don't just say that just to distance yourself. I mean,
That's right.
And I like to think that actors all find a bit of themselves in the characters they portray. That's how you do it. I don't know how true that is. I'm not an actor. I know as a writer, I tend to find things within myself, and that's something I want to talk about briefly. And I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I am a writer. I'm graduating my BFA a couple decades too late next month in creative writing. Does not make me an expert in writing, but I'm somewhat knowledgeable. Okay?
Agreed.
One of the big fun things for me in this film is that it's about Raymond Carver, or he's a background character,
right?
And the whole one of the big inside jokes is that this is a guy, again, used to be a larger than life superhero action star, and he's adapting a short story by Raymond Carver, which pretty much just involves 4 people sitting around a table talking about love and turning it into a stage play. And there's a lot of humor just in the idea of that he's all these weird things he's putting into this film, turning it into the stage play, and he's his inspiration for being an actor is Raymond Carver. He has a napkin when he signed it, and there's a lot of in jokes about that as well.
Yeah, what he said was, he goes, just 20 years before I put on the suit.
Right, and he had gotten the napkin.
He'd gotten the autograph.
Right, and so and again, it's about artists about respecting an artist, trying to be an artist, by trying to emulate an artist, by using an artist's work or writing themselves into an artist's work. So there's a lot to do there. He's trying to be a famous someone that people love and respect by taking the work of someone else that's already loved and respected. So there's a lot going on there too. There's layers of identity, and what am I really trying to portray? What's my real goal? Blah blah blah. It's fun on my end, just considering the idea of him doing this play based on Raymond Carver's short story, and seeing how they play with it in the film. If you've read this short story, there are differences in what they do on the stage. Blah blah blah. Also, this is why I'm going to go into this real quick. There's a review in Forbes by this guy Jonathan Leaf, who I hate just by looking at his picture, and his byline is, "I write about Hollywood. I write about what Hollywood is saying and what's worth seeing." So already, fuck you. That off the top, and then his full bio. Apparently, he's one of the country's most praised young playwrights because he wrote a play. I've never heard of it. And he's received rave reviews and all this thing. That's the only credit that I see here, is that he wrote a play that everyone loved. So now he's an expert on films. He's doing critic reviews. Hey, fine. Everyone's got an opinion. He doesn't like Birdman. Great, whatever. The title of his review is "How Birdman Betrays Raymond Carver: An Untold Story," and he's got his panties in a bunch over this whole idea that they took Raymond Carver's story and they bastardized it on the screen because he didn't like Hollywood. He didn't like this kind of stuff, which is kind of the in joke. You've got a Hollywood person. So he ignores the fact that the film is aware of this, because that's one of the whole jokes here. Is this guy from Hollywood is trying to become more famous by using the work of somebody that eschewed fame, didn't believe in the whole Hollywood bullshit. So he's taken as as a hero, as a source, somebody who would have despised everything he did. Now, this guy talks about that in this review, but he talks about it as if the filmmakers didn't get it. It's like, oh, didn't they see this? No shit, Sherlock. It's part of the fucking subtext. It goes on, and then the last it's four pages, which is 4 pages on web, so it's really like maybe 2 full typewritten pages, maybe 1.5. He also goes into detail about the story. What we talk about love, is one of the stories that was rewritten by Raymond Carver's editor, and it's one of these stories that after his death, his wife had the publishers reprint the actual rewritings. The editors were rewriting some of his stories, trying to make them more mainstream. And why
would you just fuck with what works? But go ahead.
Publishing, dude, publishing. I mean, it's why does anybody do anything that makes no fucking sense? But the story they're using in the film is the Raymond Carver short story rewritten by his editor. And he says, "Oh, didn't they have researchers? They should have known this." It's like, all right, think about it. Michael Keaton has rewritten the short story as a stage play. What adds to the irony more, or adds to the whole theme, than the fact that he's rewritten a story of Raymond Carver's that was rewritten on him originally?
Sure. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The director knows that.
And that's highlighted by the fact that when Ed Norton comes on, and the big thing is he's auditioning to be in the play, and Michael Keaton wants him, Ed Norton begins to rewrite the dialogue from the short story.
That's right. and they kind of ad-lib a little bit.
And the lines, and I went back and double-checked. It'd been a while since I read that short story. The dialogue that he rewrites is actually original dialogue from the rewritten version of Raymond Carver's short story. So he's taking this and he's editing, and he's literally editing. The 5 lines. This is redundant. Blah blah blah. That's what editors do: shorten and contract. Ed Norton, is editing and rewriting Raymond Carver's work in this scene, and they're both like, "Oh, see how great is that?" It was fucking intentional. It's part of the fucking movie. If you're a playwright, if you're the youngest renowned playwright, you fucking know this. This guy is a whiny little bitch who doesn't like the fact that this film kind of sheds a negative light. And on the last page, here's the one that got me. Here's where, okay, you're being intentionally obtuse and you're just a dick. Is blah 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 blah. They show up as well in its for all its protestations of artistic purity and earnestness. Those values and beliefs are obvious in the film. But the whole idea is it's questioning those and showing how they're being sacrificed. Quote, they show up as well in its false cop-out ending, fuck you, and in a bogus confrontation between the hero and a New York Times critic. But in a bogus confrontation, you mean it wasn't real? No, it's fucking written, asshole. It's a movie. Really? Really?
What's this guy's name?
Inclusion-
I need to see his stupid face, too.
They appear, too, in Birdman's inclusion of the special effects it claims to look down on as a mere distraction of tinsels for the rubes. That's the fucking point why they're in there in the first place, asshole. I get that. And I'm not the country's youngest famous fuck playwright. Come on. Really?
You should
Shit pisses me off.
you should send this guy an email. Shoot him one.
I've got more important things to do than tell this guy he's fucking pretending to not understand something.
We can, excerpt this audio, and you could send that to him.
Feel free. Label this episode. Label this episode. Jonathan Leaf can suck it. Right? There you go. That's the name of the episode. Stamp my face on it.
If he pays extra money to just get notified when his name is mentioned, it'll get to him. But I doubt it.
Maybe he has a cutting service.
Oh, wow.
Clipping service. Sorry. Wow, I saw.
I knew
that
what you
movie.
meant.
Yeah, I forget what movie it was. Like, so I need a clipping service. I was like, holy shit, how fucking dated is that? Man, we're getting old. The fact that I know what a clipping service is makes me old.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one in the room, so.
I know, but still, it
Not
blew
far
me away.
behind.
And now I'm like using the phrase, but I had to get that off my chest because I read that I was researching for the show, and it was one of the things I'm watching the film. I was like, yeah, it's interesting. I want to see if I can find any articles that talk about that. And this is the first thing I hit. So you got to be fucking kidding me.
Jeez.
Whiny little bitch doesn't like that the film cast any aspect of stage plays in a negative light.
Right.
Yeah, he has to mention Albert Elby in his review. Yeah.
You
course you have.
You can't please everybody. You can't.
Well, but I just hate this. I hate the false, intellectually dishonest way that when critics, it was like the Lone Ranger. When the one review I was reading said, "Oh, and it doesn't make any sense in this unrealism because the things that are happening are, and like he has the peanut thing in his hand during the thing. It doesn't make sense. You know damn well it's supposed to be a fable, and he's telling the kid, and that's why they showed that. That was a specific trait, and you're pretending as a critic. If you don't know that, you shouldn't be writing anything, let alone criticisms. And you're going to pretend that you don't understand that just because you want to trash the film. That's the shit I can't stand. You didn't like the film. That's fucking great. You don't fucking lie about it.
Well,
just say it's a bad film.
I mean, people are they're praising the film Foxcatcher, and I only bring this up because this guy didn't like Birdman, and we're shitting on him for it. People really
no. I'm not shitting on him for not liking Birdman. I'm shitting on him for his false equivalencies on why he's trashing the film. Just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. But people are really praising Foxcatcher, and I'll tell you now, I was bored to fucking death with that movie. I was. And we're not reviewing it because it's not an Oscar Best Picture nomination. But if we were going to review it, I'd be able to defend, my consensus that it's boring. The story lacks. The writing is okay. To be honest, if you read the real John DuPont story, there isn't enough substance there to make a 2-hour movie. There isn't. There's a lot of filler in that movie, and it feels like filler. And the climax at the end is built up, and you feel cheated because it's not that good.
I'm interested because it's nominated for Best Original Screenplay, and so I'm very interested in seeing why it was taken to that level. Then again, Boyhood was too, so all bets are fucking off.
If you watch Foxcatcher and you do want to review it down the line for any reason, I'd be more than willing to, or at least we'll even just talk about it even off air, because I need to talk to somebody about it.
Oh no, no, yeah, no, I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch as many Oscar films after the Best Pictures as I can over the next couple weeks. I don't have homework for a few weeks, so I'm gonna have a little extra time. You know what the funny thing is too? Foxcatcher sounds like a banjo movie to me. I have a
Yeah.
new thing now. I have banjo movies. Whiplash wasn't at first because I knew there'd be a lot of long out scenes. But if I have to watch a film for the show, or if I'm watching something and I'm not really 100% willing to devote my attention to it to begin with, I was given a banjo as a gift, and so I just kind of play that randomly while I'm watching the film just to get used to the keying, not fingering and everything. So
You said
Foxcatcher sounds
fingering.
like a Foxcatcher and Selma gonna be a lot of banjo practice in the next week.
Yeah. I mean, Steve Carell's decent in it. He's got a Best Actor nomination. He's not going to win. I don't think he's that good. I don't think John DuPont, as a human being, is interesting enough to give someone an Oscar for it. But that's me. So,
Well,
what is Birdman up? I'm sorry. What did you say?
I was just saying that makes me more curious to watch the film now because of what you said about it. So, but that's because
Yeah,
I'm wacky.
I was not thrilled, but and I'm not one to say, oh, it's boring. I don't like. Listen, if there's dialogue and it's well written and it's well acted, I'm in. I'm good. But I just, for whatever reason, other than the fact that I don't think the story is that strong. I just found it to be a pretty boring film, and probably because it's not a strong story. It's not. It really is.
Again, now I'm curious to see it and see why it's for best screenplay and why you're talking about.
I'm interested to see. I didn't hate it. I wanted to like it because
Right.
the DuPont story is. I thought they could do something more interesting with it, and I found, in my opinion, they didn't.
You want to rate this?
Yeah, let's go ahead and rate it.
Yeah, I lost it because I was doing research while we were talking. Birdman.
Again, like Whiplash, last episode we rated Whiplash a 9. I could go 9. I could even go 10 on this.
I'm ready for 10.
If you put my feet to the fire, I could go 10 on it.
Let's burn them, baby. 10. I say
all
10.
Right. All right, let's do it.
You know why? You know why 10? I would say normally 9, and then that last one is a fuck you to Jonathan Leaf. Jonathan Leaf, that last star is for you for being an ass. The number 9 is the highest rating, was 26.6%. The people voted 9, so we're above the average.
Okay.
And again, the lowest demographic is females aged 45 and higher at 7.7. And the highest demographic is 9.0 with males under the age of 18. Once again, I'm shocked that there's a lot of young people liking these films that I like, that I would, for some reason, as I get older, I'm becoming completely biased towards children or young people where I'm like, you're idiots. Fuck you all. And I'm totally wrong. They get it. And, I'm ashamed of myself.
Is it because they're impressionable? It's like, I should like this, so I'm going to, even though I don't like it, I'm going to say I like it. I mean, there could be some of that. I don't know. Under 18, liking this, I don't want to say I'm shocked, but I kind of am a little bit.
Right.
I don't see under 18 really, gravitating towards this movie.
Okay, I don't see a 17-year-old kid watching this film and understanding all the subtext and all of the issues being brought up. But I can see them enjoying the film and understanding the playfulness of it and getting the overall theme. So yeah, sure.
Okay.
But yeah, that's that. Are we done?
I think we're done.
I think we're done too.
The scene where he's telling the story about his abusive father with Ed Norton is on.
Now,
This is a great scene.
I saw that coming though. I'll admit it.
Oh yeah, I mean, how could you not? How could you not? It's a great scene though. Seeing it or not seeing it coming. All right, so here now I got to queue up my shit because I've been at a solid like 70% CPU use because of live stream the whole show.
I'm sure there's at least half a dozen people out there who are going to be listening to this, and by now we're going to say, you know what? I don't give a fuck where your CPU is at. I'm not one of those because I care about your CPU deeply. But
I know you do. which is why we're going to be switching to Ustream.
I know. Holly's gonna say to me after she listens to the episode, says, "What the fuck's up with the CPU?"
And the next time I see her, I will let her know. I will go into detail. We'll talk about cores and threads and whatnot for sure.
Pixels.
No, that's something totally different. That's got nothing to do with my CPU.
Yeah, it does.
That's more graphics card, but that's a whole different thing. We can do tech talk. We don't have to do it tonight. Anyway, all right, let's go ahead and end the show then.
Okay.
Oh, what is this? Episode 164. I'm not gonna let the Hawkman end our show tonight. I'm gonna do it. He did an okay job last episode. I'll do it this time. All right. Anyway, you can go to our website at Moviesucktastic.com. You can download all the shows there. You can watch the show live there. If we go to Ustream, we have a live stream app there. If we go to Ustream, I will replace it with a Ustream application. You can do it right from the site. You can download any of the shows there. You can listen to the shows. I have a player embedded into the site. You can do it that way too. You can go to iTunes. You can listen to the show there. You can download it to your favorite, player, however you want to do it. Leave a review if you're there. We always appreciate them. You can go to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Moviesucktastic. You can go to our Tumblr page at moviesucktastic.tumblr.com. You can go to you can leave us voicemail at 908-514-4470. 908-514-4470. If you want to email us, the address is themovieguys@moviesucktastic.com. You can also go to your favorite search engine. Scott likes Google.
Google it.
And you can do a search for Moviesucktastic. You'll find everything I just talked about. You can also download the Android app that we have. Put it on any device that uses Android, and you can listen to the show. You can download the show. You can do anything that we just mentioned in a nice, tidy little package for your phone or tablet, your phablet, whatever you want to call it. And that's about it. You got this stare on you.
Yeah?
Yeah. What's wrong?
It's time for my words of wisdom.
Scott, do you have any words of wisdom?
Fuck you, Jonathan Leaf. Fuck you.
Wow, what happened to the sound? I think we should end this. Yeah, maybe. There's a scene where Michael Keaton is moving shit around in his dressing room. So, yeah, let's go and end the show before we lose this episode.
Let me just say. I don't mean fuck you, Jonathan Leaf, as an individual. I mean as a critic. That's all.
Okay. Cool. All right. Talk to you next week. Bye.
Or sooner.
Maybe sooner.
Oh, yeah, never know.
Doubt it.
Smells like balls.